Hi everyone! Today I'm doing a colour along in Fairytales and Folklore by Emily Lidhall-Oberg, and I'm going to be using a colour palette from Sarah Renee Clark's Colour Cubes because I haven't done that for a while and I thought it'd be exciting to just have our colours picked for us. So we'll be in a few different parts. I'm not the fastest colourer, so we'll have to do this in a few parts, but I'm sure you'll be fine with that. So I haven't picked a page or a colour palette yet. I thought we would do that together. So I'm going to go for the colour palette first, and then hopefully we can pick a page from the book that, you know, goes well with that palette. So let's have a look then. I've got both the colour cubes here. Let's take the lids off. Let's get them the right way round. So what I thought I'd do, because it's going to be quite difficult probably to just pick one card and use that colour palette, I might not enjoy it. If it's not a colour palette that goes with the illustration or with how I'm feeling, I might not enjoy it. So I thought I would pick two from each at random, and then I can pick one that I really like. So hopefully there will be one in that 4, but whatever it is, we're going to have to do it because I'm not, you know, putting any more, I'm not giving myself any more chances. So that's it. So I'm going to pick 2 from each. So I'm not looking. You can't see, but I'm honestly not looking. I think I might have picked up 2 cards. I'm going to go for this one. And then something more from the front. Oh. And then from this one, let's go for the middle, about the middle. Oh, I don't know if I picked 1 or 2 there. I'm going to go for that one. Right, okay, so let me put these aside and then we'll have a look. Right. Okay, we've got some really kind of deep dark palettes here. It's interesting. So the first one is this one. It's number 421, and it's what I would call a desert sunset palette. It's got browns, burnt oranges and deep yellows. That one's really nice. It's quite autumnified, I suppose. So we'll leave that to one side. This one's a bit more colourful, number 120. And we've got a selection of pinks going into like a red violet sort of pinky colour. Black, or a very dark brown at least. I think it's dark brown actually. Yeah, dark brown. And then a pop of blue. So that might be nice to have it more of a two-tone piece with just that addition of the dark brown. We've got this one, which has a couple of scarlet reds, a grey, and then again some kind of umber colours, raw umber. Yeah, camel and umber. That's interesting. It is quite, excuse me, I'm so sorry. It is quite a dull palette. Obviously you've got the pop of the red. Not sure whether I want to have so many sort of sepia tones and then just a bit of a pop of colour. It's interesting, but I'm not sure. And then this one is obviously completely different. It's like an underwater palette. So we've got like peacock blues, indigo, more of a kind of teal, cobalt, turquoise colour, and then a bit of a sage green. And I think this is kind of a deep desaturated green as well. Oh, it says umber, so that's supposedly the same as that then. That's not the same colour. I don't know if you can tell on there, but that's not the same colour. Yet they've all been classed as umber, but they do have different hex codes. So they're different. They're just, the names aren't different. Okay, so let's have a look at all 4 of them together then. So we have got some really deep colours. There's not a lot of brights going on, really. Not a lot of lighter tones. So I need to decide. I think honestly it's out of the top 2, because even though this has got browns in it, they're very warm tones and I like those browns better than I like these browns. I feel like we'd have to do something watery if I chose this palette. So I don't know, it's difficult. Maybe I should put these to one side for a minute and find a page, and then it might help me decide which card I want to use. So I got my book. I did do a poll for which book you guys wanted me to do a colour along in. It was either going to be this one or Dark Fairy Tales or Hello Spring. And the poll on Facebook, it was mainly Dark Fairy Tales, but the polls on YouTube and Instagram were overwhelmingly Fairy Tales and Folklore. So I've gone for that one first. I will be doing a colour along in Dark Fairy Tales at some stage. So yeah, I've done a few pages in this already. This is the book that I wrote the foreword for. That is the reprint and rebrand of Sagor och Sagna, a book that came out many moons ago that people haven't been able to get a hold of. And we're really excited to get this new version of it. So it does have some pages in the front that weren't in the original book. This one I'm just looking, it's quite a underwatery type scene. But I think it would be, this is just too limited, I think. I'd want some kind of bright pink in there or something. Would that work? That might work. The coral though, we haven't really got any colours for the coral. I would use the pinks on the mermaid and some of the little bits in the background, the fish as well. But the coral would have to be all kind of brown, I suppose, because I'd want to use the blue as a background colour. I've put pages in between because I don't want anything to imprint onto the other side. That's why I've got lots of little scrap bits of paper. So what was that one? I didn't even look. Do I want to do something that's heavily kind of focused on a portrait? Not really. I'm not really in that mood at the moment. So I'm just constantly keeping my palettes in mind, you know, of what will work. See, this has got strawberries on it, so that would be good for this palette. But then it's just brown and grey, so I think this illustration deserves a lot of colour. That's okay, it's mainly flowers. Got a little elf and a mouse. We've got a bucket full of flowers here. So the browns would be good for the bucket, for the wood, but then it's all oranges. This brown would be good for the bucket, and then we've got a choice of pinks and blue. Now, if I got some lighter shades of this blue, as well as a darker shade, we can create more variation. I don't have to use 5 single pencils. I can use 3 shades of blue, 3 shades of this pink, and so on. Although these kind of match up to each other already, so that would be my dark, medium, and light pink. So that's an idea for that one. Do I want to do a colour along of just flowers though? I don't know. I want something that's got a little bit more interest than just one subject. Mice in the teacup. And then I remember colouring this one before in the original book, and I really enjoyed it. But I find it difficult to recolour images that I've coloured in the past. It's very, very rare that I've done that. I sort of want something new and fresh every time. Again, there's a few more people on that than I really want. Pages are really thick. It's hard to tell whether you've turned 2 pages instead. So we've got lots of shells on there. I've coloured this one as well in the original book, I remember. Again, lots of colour needed on that one. This polar bear would be good with this palette, I think. I think that would match up really nice to that. But is it too wintry, a polar bear in a jumper? Do I want to do something a bit more springy? Let's See, we're going through my thought process, so if this is boring, feel free to fast forward, but I know a lot of you like to actually hear the thought process behind things. Another one that could probably be done with those deep greens and blues. This I always see as an autumn type of illustration, so I'd probably be looking into these colours for this one. But I'm really feeling spring at the moment. You know, we've just come out of winter and autumn and those kind of colder seasons, so I'm feeling spring. So I'm thinking I might just dive in with this palette and then choose a page that goes with it. Something spring-like. Got a frog and lily pads. I've coloured this one before as well. Spring bunny, but I don't really want to colour a lot of fur. I don't mind colouring a bit of fur like on here, but this is really difficult, and I'm the most indecisive person you've ever met as well, so that doesn't help. Again, this looks quite springy with the rabbit, but I'm not feeling that one. Terrible. So we've got like Easter eggs here. I wonder if that would work actually, because this is a springtime illustration. It's birds and eggs and nest. We've got brown for the nest, and we've got blue and pink to play with. Let's go for this one. Hopefully it's one that you like and that you'll want to colour along with me with. But I think that would work quite well, hopefully. We'll see. Okay, so we're going for this page and this palette. Now I have to figure out what colours I want to use. And it's always difficult when I do a colour along because, as you know, my favourite pencils are Prismacolors. But you can guarantee I'll always get comments saying, why do you always use Prismas? And if I don't use Prismas, I'll get comments saying, well, I don't have those. Why don't you do it in Prismas? Because Prismas are sort of probably the most popular coloured pencil in adult colouring, along with polychromos. So I can't win, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find the best matches of the colours on this palette that I can throughout all of my coloured pencil sets. And then if you leave me a comment below telling me your pencil set, I will try and give you conversions for your pencil set. It might not be perfect because, you know, especially some of these pinks, quite difficult, I think, to find. But I'll do my best to help you so that you can join in on the colour along, whatever pencils you've got. So I think, first of all, I'm going to start with this pink. And looking at this, let's zoom you in a little bit. Looking at this, I'm thinking the Clay Rose Dusky Pink family of the Prismacolors. So let me just get my Prisma chart to show you. And excuse the ugliness of this chart, I've scribbled all over it. But yeah, so I'm thinking here. And I think if we go for Pink Rose as the closest one to this colour, and then Clay Rose as the deeper colour, and we've got to go Deco Pink for the lighter colour, even though it's a little bit brighter than I would have wanted. I don't think any other colour will work. So I think we'll go for those three. Okay, so Deco Pink, Pink Rose and Clay Rose. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and get 3 colours out of each swatch, 3 pencils. And then I can also use, aside from this one, I can also use this gradient as well from the pink. Does that make any sense? From pink to pink to pink? Yeah, so I can use this pink gradient or I can use this pink gradient and whatever else I get. It will make sense as we go along. So I've put those 3 to one side. Then this is kind of a difficult pink because it's kind of a red violet colour, but definitely more red. And it's also a bit desaturated as well. So I don't think there is going to be a colour on here. I mean, maybe if you put white to mahogany red, you might get somewhere close. But I'm just going to look through my other pencils just to check. So we've got polychromos. And remember, I'm on the second swatch because I'll forget. I want to go here, like in this red violet section. It's a bit grayer than middle purple pink. It's like it's along that line, but it probably needs some grey on top to mute it. Let's try Holbein. Not really anything in Holbein either. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Well, Artex are pretty much Prismas, so I'm not even going to look at that. Luminance. There's not many pinks in Luminance because it's a bit of a fugitive colour. I think that's what they call it. Fugitive. Or is it fugitive? No, that's something to do with light fastness, isn't it? Fugitive means it fades with light. What am I thinking? What's the word I'm thinking? The pigments aren't very stable, so there's not very many light fast pinks in here. You could go again with the purplish red, but it's not quite as grey as this one. I'm going to keep it to one side though, because I think if we can't find anything better, that will work if I lighten it up with a lighter version of the colour. Again, it will all make sense. Let me find that one. So what's it called? Purplish red. So I've got that one here. But I'll keep looking because I want a bit of a better colour than that. Okay, so we've got Black Widow. There's 180 pencils here, so if we can't find one of these, then there's something wrong. She says. A lot of these pinks are very similar to one another. So I need a greyish, I need a muted sort of red violet pink. I'm not seeing it here, Lloyd. Little Dumb and Dumber reference for those of you who love that film. Derwent Chromaflow. Again, these are very similar. Prismacolor, but there are a couple of different ones. See, again, I'm looking towards this Jazzberry, but no, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. I'm going to keep going through the book, and if I can't find anything, we'll stick with that Luminance one. So again, Starjoy Gold. I mean, the garnet's not that far off. We have Pablo's, my nemesis pencil. So I'm hoping there's not one in these. No, there isn't. There isn't. Inktense, I'm not even going to look at today because they scare me. Inktense, I've still got a bit of a thing about Inktense. Every time I try and use them, it goes wrong. I think that's it, isn't it? I don't have any more charts in here unless we go for just out of the blue random metallic paint. Just out of curiosity, which one would it be? Ruby Slipper, look how perfect that is. Can you see that? The camera might not show, but that Ruby Slipper is, the base of that colour is exactly the colour on the card. That's so funny, like we've looked through all these pencil sets and we found it in metallic glittery paint. Anyways, by the way, all these colour charts, if you're new to the channel or you haven't seen them before, are charts that I have made, and they're all completely free to download and print. We've got colour combos, we've got colour family charts, which I'm kind of known for, I suppose. Skin tone combos, there's the word, skin tone combos. Yeah, so anyways, so what did I say we were going to do? Purplish red, didn't I? So let me get a little bit of a swatch of that. Sorry for being chaotic. So yeah, it's not great. It's not a great match. But do I really want to be messing about with greys on top? You know, not really. I'm not in a mixing colours mood today. So do we need a lighter one of this and a deeper one of this? Or are we just going to go completely off-piste with the colour palette if we do that? Or should I just stick with the pink rose as being the lighter version? I think that would work. I think that would work. So we'll move on to the next colour, which is deeper. And we'll start again with the colour charts. So raspberry might be a good shout. Let's try that. Raspberry, where are you? There we go. So raspberry for this one. Oh yeah, that is more or less perfect. Don't know whether you can tell, cameras are funny, but yeah, that's great. So the raspberry should also be able to act as a bit of a darker shade of that as well. So we've got a few different combos that we can use just within these 5 pencils that we've chosen already. So yeah, don't know as if I want to do a darker one of raspberry, because this is going to be the darkest colour of the pinks that we have. But if I go dark raspberry, it's going to turn red. We're going to have Tuscan red, which is kind of going into brown territory. I'll keep it on the back burner. If I feel like something needs to be, one second. If I feel like something needs to be deepened for contrast, I'll go to the Tuscan red. But for now, we'll keep it at what we've got. Then we've got this really dark brown. So, take this out of the light. What about polychromos? They've got some good browns. Hoping all these pencils will work together. Probably the Van Dyke brown. I need to get my Prismas. Holly's out now. Let me see if I've got one in the spares drawer. Have I got a Van Dyke brown in here? Yes. So let's do a little swatch of that. It's not as deep and dark. Let's try a walnut brown. I think that's better, the walnut brown. It's still got a bit of warmth to it as well, because this brown does have warmth to it. I think if I use the Prismacolor Espresso, which is the darkest brown in the Prismacolor, it's a bit cool. It's definitely cooler. You probably can't even tell on this, but I feel like the walnut brown of the polychromos is keeping the warmth and the tone of what we've got here. So that's what I'm going to go for. So we've got walnut brown. Do I want a lighter version? I think probably yes, because otherwise we're just going to have this solid brown everywhere and it won't be as dynamic as I want it to be. So if we're going from walnut brown, then I'm going to skip a few of these colours because they are quite similar to the eye in tone. And I'm thinking probably between Nugget and Bista, probably Bista, because Nugget has that's a cool colour. It cools the brown down, whereas this Bista keeps the warmth. Hopefully that makes sense, but it makes sense in my brain. So let's see if I've got a Bista on here or if I've got to go into the pencil case. That's a Holbein. How did that sneak in there? Strange. Okay. Oh, it's also got a Prisma Metallic Gold. Here we go, Bista. So if I put that next to that one, I think that will work quite nicely. It's gonna keep it warm. And yeah, okay, so we've got the brown. Now the last colour, I bet you just can't wait for this all to be over, me waffling. The last colour is a really beautiful blue. Kind of hard to describe it actually. How does Sarah describe it? Steel blue. I would have said a bit more grey to make it steely, but I can see where she's coming from because it is a grey blue, but it's probably not as grey. I'll shut up. Right, let's have a look then. So these are kind of steely grey blue colours, but I don't think they're quite right. Let's go back to Prismas for a sec. So we've got these here, but it's a lot deeper It's more like cobalt, but not as bright as cobalt. I've got so many pencil sets that I refuse to believe I don't have a colour that better matches. Yeah, see, this is where I'm looking. But then here, look, smalt blue, ultra blue. Even though these have got a bit more purple in than this one, I feel like I'm liking these more than I'm liking the more true blues, if that makes sense. But then they are pretty purple. Let's carry on. So the Artex, we know about the Artex. Luminance do have some interesting steely blues, especially this grey blue, but I think it's a bit too grey. And it's also erring into green as well. So I want to come back over here. Too bright, too bright. Next, Black Widow. You know, looking at Black Widows, there's not many blues at all, is there? Like, you've got these, and these, I don't know if you know, you class them as blue. I mean, they're very, very grey. And then you're going into the green blues, but you know, blues, there is a lot missing. I've never noticed that about Black Widow. Definitely needs to be more blues there. I don't think we've got the colour that I'm looking for anyway. Then Chroma Flow. No. Blue Orchid. These two are staring at me, Periwinkle and Denim. I know they're not perfect, but this is the lines I'm going for. I wish there was a middle colour in between those, because I think that will be this colour. Starjoy, do you have anything for us? Nope. Pablo's. Sky blue, light blue. Bluish grey. Ooh. Bluish grey. That's quite close. It's not as bright as this one, even though this isn't bright. It's a bit duller, but it is close. Where even are my Pablos? I've put them like out of sight, out of mind. Let me just have a look. I'm gonna have to look around for the Pablos because I don't know where I've put them. That really is the best hit, I think. But as a lighter, that is not a darker version. I don't know why I've put that there. It must be the only place that it would fit. Interesting. What do I do? What did I say that I actually really liked? It was its Periwinkle and Denim. But I need a middle colour. Just looking at this glaucous blue, glaucous, whatever you pronounce it. There was one, wasn't I, that I was like, that would do in a pinch. Something to do with it being slightly too purple, I remember. Was it here? I think it was here, wasn't it? See, overall, look at this colour. Overall, these don't really match. But you know, when you compare them to other colours, you see how much purple there is actually in this steel blue. I'm just going to have to make a decision, aren't I? Oh, it's too much purple, it's too much purple. Not enough blue. Too much blue. I discounted Artex because they're very similar to Prismacolors, but let me just check, because this this little selection has caught my eye. It is not as grey, but we're struggling to find colours that are. So Delft blue and light cerulean blue could do. It could do. It's not going to be perfect, but you know what? I think we've spent too much time agonising over the colours now, and you're probably bored to death. So, Artex, where even are they? Right, okay. I think they're in here. Oh, everything's falling down. I just got this bunny the other day. So cute. So cute. It's a Scentsy one, so it's got like a scent pack in it. Hang on a second. Tangent. So Scentsy are a company that do wax melts, and they also do lots of different things. So this is really soft. It's so soft, like I can't even describe how soft it is. And it's called a Scentsy Buddy, and in the back you can put a scent pack. So this one is Fluffy Fleece, and it smells like clean cotton or washing, kind of that washing smell. It's perfect, and that makes him smell really nice. So he's cuddly and he smells nice and relaxing. I got it in an Easter box, so I didn't actually buy it for this bunny specifically, because I don't really have a lot of teddies and stuff, but it came in the box and it was just so lovely. And there's my tangent, so let's have a look then. Artex, where are you? They'll be in the last pencil case that I look in. Let's try this one. Yep, of course they are. So the colours that I wanted were... Oh, that pigeon blue's not bad, you know. Pigeon blue. I'm just trying to see if I can match these up. The violet blue might be too violet, I think. Pigeon blue. They're not too far in tone from each other. Not the actual colour, but in the depth of them, in the darkness of them. I know what I mean. Why am I finding this so hard? Right, I'm just going to go for Delft and light cerulean, okay? We're just going to go for it. So, Delft blue. There we go. And then light cerulean. Do I need a lighter tone? Yes, I'm going to go with the pastel blue. So, pencil cases to one side. We've finally got our colours sorted out. I'll put that away as well. Right, so I'm going to give them all a sharpen, and then I'll be back with you to actually start some colouring. Okay, I've got all my pencils sharpened ready. So I'm going to start with the brown of the nest, I think, just to get that done, because there's quite a lot of twigs and things. So let's just get that out of the way, then we can go on to all the really colourful stuff. So how am I going to do this then? I'm going to take the walnut brown, that's the darkest of the two, and let's just colour down one side of the twig. We'll make it really simple. Colour down one side of the twig, leaving a bit of a hazy edge, and then going in with the Bista, or is it Bistray? How do you say this pencil name? Bistray. Sounds a bit weird, Bistray. And then just leave a very small slither of white so that we've got that completely white, very dark, and then mid-tone, and that just helps it look 3D. So I might just bring you down a little bit out of the glare of the light and then zoom you in. Let's see if I can move my iPad a little. I'll put my Wicker Man Alton Towers thing on the iPad so it keeps you up. Oh, that should do. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do, I think. You know, I might even do a few of these in exactly the same way, and then do the rest off camera and come back to start the next element, because I think when you've got a lot of things that's going to be coloured exactly the same, it's going to take a lot of time for me to do on video. It's going to be very repetitive, which can be boring. And I think I'm doing them all exactly the same, so it's not like you need to watch me do every single one. So I'm literally using the darker brown for the inner edge, taking it to almost the middle of the branch, then the lighter brown carrying on from it. Now, because these are polychromos, they're a layering pencil, so you know I'm being quite heavy-handed with them, and it's not the best way to blend them. But I feel like on these really small areas, you can do that. I think if this were like a really wide, thick area that I was covering, I would have to really go slow with the layers. But because it's only small, I can get away with it a bit more. So I'm just going to finish like these ones, and then we'll do it off camera and come back. Or I might even do these ones, we'll skip straight to something different, and then I can finish it off camera and come back to you when it's all done. That might be the best. Maybe I'm overcomplicating things, but I feel like it's been ages since I've sat down and done a video. And many of you will know, because I've literally can't stop posting pictures of him, we've got a new puppy. So you'll know that we lost Rosie last September, who was our 13-year-old Yorkie, and she'd appeared in a few videos, and you could always hear her sort of breathing in the background because she had a bit of a sort of whistly, weird breathing thing. I think it was to do with collapsed trachea. And you know, she was well loved, and we said that we were never ever going to get another dog, because it is a lot of responsibility. You know, it can sometimes stop you from doing certain things. You know, when you've got a dog, you've got to look for someone to look after them if it's not somewhere you can take them, or if you have to be out all day, you worry that you don't want to leave them alone and stuff like that. So it can be quite restricting in a way. Also, it's just incredibly heartbreaking when you lose the dog, because they do become like, you know, they're like your arm, you know. It's like chopping off a limb. They are honestly members of your family, you know, and it is very, very difficult when the time comes. We get so many years with them, and then they start to slow down and they start to, you know, have issues and things, and we feel awful for them. And you know, it's sometimes we don't know whether we're keeping them going for them or for us. And I think that was that kind of the dilemma that I experienced with Rosie, because she had dementia and a lot of other problems. Like I said, the collapsed trachea. She had a lot of anxiety. I think because she couldn't breathe well enough with the collapsed trachea, she could still breathe, but I think when she was lying down and stuff, it probably put pressure on it, and then she felt really anxious and jumped up because it was like she couldn't catch her breath, and you would hear her making these kind of honking noises in her throat. And like I said, she did have the dementia coming on, where she would just stand in front of the wall. You know, it was as if she didn't know where she was or what she was doing, and it was so sad. But then there'd be times when she was still playful, you know, and like a pup. And it was really hard for me to know whether or not it was the right time to let her go. But then someone said to me, you know, do you want your last kind of, do you want Rosie to go through like the worst period of her life where she's ill all of the time before you make that decision? Or do you want to let her go while there is still some joy in her life? Do you know what I mean? Which sounds really weird, but did I want to sort of force her to the point of just having no quality of life whatsoever, you know? And, you know, obviously the vet agreed, and you go by their kind of recommendations as well, but we definitely made the decision. But it was just hard to know whether or not we were doing it at the right time, you know, or whether she probably could have lasted another year or two. But what would that quality have been like for her? And, you know, so I don't think there's anything wrong with letting them go before all joy has been lost, you know. But anyway, so yeah, we didn't think we were going to have another dog. It's also, Rosie was completely impossible to train, house train. So my carpets were, you should have seen a couple of months after Rosie went, we had new carpets because she just used to mess everywhere. You know, she'd just wee where she was stood, you know, and obviously a lot of that was to do with her older age, but she'd have been like that since forever. You know, we'd never been able to actually train her to go out. So the carpets were absolutely ruined. And we got new carpets and stuff, and we're like, right, no more dogs, clean home, you know. And then we were like, I don't even know actually how I started. I think my husband, he's always had a dog. He's always had Yorkies, but he's always had a dog by his side. And the kids wanted one from the word go anyway, you know. So it wasn't like they didn't want one at all. We'd been the ones saying, no more dogs. And then my husband was like, I really miss like having a little friend, my little dog and stuff, like, because when I'm out, because I look after my grandma as well, 3 times a week, so when I'm out, he's kind of on his own, and I think he did just miss having, I mean, there's a hole that only a dog can fill. I think even if I never went out, he would still have wanted a dog. And I was just like, straight away, of course I love dogs, of course I'd have one, but it has to be able to be trained. Like, our experiences with Yorkies have just been that you just cannot train them. And, you know, someone's going to comment and say, yes, you can, and blah, blah, blah. But that's been our experience. And I said, we can't get another Yorkie. We just can't. We love them to death. We love them, but we can't. So our next door neighbour has got 3 poodles. They're toy poodles, I think. So they're not massive. There's 3 sizes of poodle. Toy, which is the smallest, miniature, and then standard, which is like the big poodles that you see, which I've never liked. They kind of freak me out. I don't know why. And her dogs are just beautiful. We've looked after them a few times. Rosie hated them because she was scared of everyone and everything. But they're really outgoing dogs, and they seem to be easy to train. So I was looking, you know, my husband was looking at this particular breed, and I was looking at how good are they to train, and apparently they're the second most intelligent breed of dog. I think the first one was Border Collie, and they're very food motivated most of the time, so they are easy to train with food. And I think we trained our new pup to sit within like half an hour. So yeah, they're apparently very easy to train. Now we're still house training. The pup that we ended up getting, we called him Buddy, and he is a toy poodle. A lot of people have asked me when I'm at the shop, you know, if I'm at the pet shop and I take him in, oh, is he a cavapoo or a cockapoo? And I'm like, no, he's just a poodle, toy poodle. And we have been doing our very best to house train him, and how we've been doing that is basically not taking our eyes off him for a second. So there's been a lot of sacrificing TV programs and being in the middle of eating your dinner, you know, or just wanting to rest and relax, but you can't because you have to keep your eyes glued to them, watching out for the signs that they need to go. We've also been taking him out regularly, so once every hour and a half, something like that, he'll go outside. He has had 3 accidents so far, and we've had him for 2 weeks, I think. And the first one was because he wasn't being watched well enough, and the second one, again, I think I took my eyes off him for a couple of seconds, and he just did it really quick. And then the third one is one that I've literally just found filming this video, when I've put my bare feet to the floor underneath my desk and felt wetness, and I'm pretty sure that is him. I've got this stuff, it's with me right now because I've just done it. It's called Urine Destroyer, and it's supposed to break down and eliminate odours at the molecular level, so it won't go back to that patch, hopefully. So at the moment, it's just a case of keeping your eyes on him constantly, taking him out regularly, and just watching for any signs. So you have to be eyes on them literally every minute, every second. And if he starts to do something, you can scoop him up and go outside, but we haven't had any instances where he started to do something and we've managed to interrupt him halfway through. His accidents have all been done by the time we've got there. So I don't think 3 accidents is too bad for a puppy. He's only 11 weeks old, so he is a baby. But I think that a lot of that is testament to how much we have been keeping our eyes glued to him the whole time. I'm hoping that soon enough he'll be able to give us, you know, tell us when he wants to go out. So he'll be scratching at the door maybe, or standing at the door and barking, or something like that, that will tell us, you know, we don't have to keep our eyes glued to him all the time, because he will just tell us when he wants to go. Because at the moment we're just watching for those signs of him getting down. He won't settle on the settee with us, he'll keep getting down, and then he'll start sniffing, and then we know he needs to go. But we can't be watching him 24/7 forever. So I'm just hoping that he will get the process of actually having to ask us to go out, rather than us being proactive and taking him out and stuff. If that makes any sense. So any kind of like tips, recommendations, hacks about getting them to tell us when they can go out would be fantastic. I don't really want to go down the route of bells or buttons where they ring a bell when they want to go out, because they can be very crafty and they can actually be ringing the bell every 5 minutes just because they want to go outside and play. So yes, very intelligent, but with that comes a bit of slyness as well. So I don't really want to do the bells thing. So other than what we've been doing, I can't really think of anything else. But I'm just hoping that, like I say, something will just click for him and he will end up letting us know that he wants to go out. And we can just relax our vigilance a little bit. But yeah, it's hard work having a puppy, you know. Like I said, you've got to keep eyes on them constantly, because he tries to eat absolutely any little bit of anything that he can find. If you've left a little bit of a cable tie from an old, you know, piece of furniture that you were putting together, he'll find that and he'll try and eat it. Little tiny stones, little pebbles in the garden, he'll eat those, you know. Little tiny shrapnels of wood, it will just try and eat everything. It's literally like having a toddler that puts everything in the mouth. So we've got to be so careful. And yeah, and obviously he sleeps a lot, but he also plays a lot and has the zoomies and goes whappy. So it's like you've got to go on his schedule a little bit. If he's just had a long sleep, it doesn't matter that you've only just sat down for the day after being busy. You're going to have to entertain him now and play with him for a bit and watch him, you know. So yeah, it is a lot of hard work, but I tell you something, he has brought so much love and joy and happiness into this house in the 2 weeks that he's been here. The boys obviously absolutely adore him. I'm going to start colouring something else, because I tend to sort of stick on one thing when I'm talking and then we get nowhere. What else? What should I colour quickly? Let's go for this Prismacolor blend that I've got. Clay Rose, Pink Rose, Deco Pink. And what shall we do? Let's do the sort of backgrounds of these eggs. So I'll start off with the dark, move to the middle, and then the light colour. So yeah, Buddy, the kids absolutely adore him. We have fallen in love with him pretty much as soon as we met him, to be honest. He's just absolutely gorgeous and he's so funny. And I think if you just keep in mind when you have a puppy that they are just babies. They don't know right from wrong. They don't know what being naughty is. You know, you can only kind of bring them up to your standards of what you'll accept, if you know what I mean. So if he does have accidents, or, you know, he's chewing on something, because that's another thing he does. He will literally drag, if you leave your coat hanging on the back of a chair, he will drag that coat off the chair and it'll be in his bed and he'll be chewing on it. So, but they don't know that's not right, you know. So what I try and do in those instances is sort of do a quick short sharp and then I take the coat from him and I immediately replace it with something he can chew. Like we've got, you know, these little kind of really tough plastic bones that he can chew. But yeah, other than that, if he has an accident, I don't say anything. I don't shout at him. I don't do anything awful like rub his nose in it or, you know, make him feel awful, because he doesn't understand. So I just ignore it. I take him outside straight away. And then as soon as he does, well, every single time he goes toilet outside, he gets a big fuss and a treat every time. So I'm hoping that that will encourage him to go outside. But I don't know, he's so cute. He's so cute. And he's actually upstairs with my eldest at the minute. He's not been upstairs yet in the last 2 weeks, because I wanted him to sort of have limited space to get used to. But he's upstairs in my eldest bedroom and he's keeping a really close eye on him at the minute, because I think he's doing some uni work, so he'd probably have Buddy on his bed next to him while he's on the laptop. And he says, I'll take Buddy upstairs so you can do a bit of filming, Mum, so you don't have to like keep your eyes glued to him all the time. So all of that to say, that's why I feel like I've not filmed a video in ages, is because I've got a new puppy and he's taking up a lot of my time and energy. But he's absolutely beautiful, and honestly, we just fell in love with him after about 10 minutes of being in his presence, you know. He's so funny. But yeah, the extended family, they all adore him as well. We had so many visitors come in and, you know, wanting to see him and stuff. And obviously next door are absolutely in love with him as well, because they've got poodles. And yeah, so he did have a little bit of an interaction with one of their poodles. I think she's about 6 years old, their eldest poodle. And she came over the fence and Buddy was just chasing after her like a little rocket. You know, he was right on her tail, and I don't think she liked it because she's a bit older and he was a bit much for her, I think. So she kind of sort of she snapped at him a bit, you know. She didn't hurt him or anything, but she snapped at him, and I could understand it because it was clear that he wouldn't leave her alone, and he just wanted to play. And he's probably been roughhousing with all of his siblings for the first 8 weeks of his life, so he's used to it. But yeah, so he's not really been in contact with any other dogs yet. He's had his second vaccination, and it will be a week tomorrow since he had that vaccination. Now, the vet said they can go out after a week, you can take him out on walks. Google says 2 weeks. So, I don't know. I probably will take him out tomorrow for his first walk, but we'll only go around the streets. I'm not going to take him to the park just yet, where there'll be lots of other dogs and things like that. So I just want to get him used to it first. But yeah, so I've just cycled through all 3 of these colours from dark to light, and then I'm just sort of leaving a bit of a white haze in the middle. So we've got a bit of shine on there, and I'll do a few more different areas. And let's do this one. So yeah, I really want him to socialise though, because like I said, Rosie, she was scared of her own shadow. She hated other dogs. She hated being in the car. You couldn't travel with her anywhere. She'd be trembling the entire time and barking. And it was just no good for us or her. I think it was probably because we only ever really took her in the car to places like the vets, you know, where she'd need to go for appointments and stuff. And obviously they hate that, don't they? And grooming and things like that, she just didn't like being messed about with. And what I should have done, and what I'm doing now with Buddy, is take her out in the car as much as I possibly can, you know, to have gotten her used to it without having to end up at the vets or somewhere that she didn't want to go, which is what I've been doing with Buddy. So every time, even if I'm just going up to the post office or going to my grandma's or just up the road or whatever, we've put Buddy in the car with us. And he started off like Rosie was, really shaky, nervous, didn't want to sit down or anything. And now I've just taken him out today in the car and he's not shaking anymore at all. He is still a little bit clingy, like, because he sits on my knee, obviously, he's only little. And he's still a little bit kind of clingy, sort of puts his claws, his paws up on my chest, you know, but he's not shaking. He's quite happy to eventually fall asleep like that. So already we've made progress with travel. And I'm hoping that we can get him, like I said, to be able to socialise with other dogs and not be scared. Which is going to be obviously helped by having the poodles from next door. I just hope that he's not too much for them, you know, because they're a bit older and he's just this wild puppy. And I don't know how, you know, he's going to react himself towards another dog. I don't want him to then suddenly be snapping, you know, because he doesn't like having another dog near him or in our company, you know. So anyway, I would just like to know whether any of you have any tips, recommendations or advice for any of these things. Okay, so done that one. Let's do a bit on here as well. I may even just do the bottom of this egg actually. There we go. It's got a really nice subtle shine effect, a bit like a rose gold metallic paper that you might find on an egg, an Easter egg. And just leaving that little bit of white in the middle really helps with the shininess. If the white is too bright for you, you can go over it with a really light hand with your lightest colour, just to take the harshness of the white away a little bit. And then let's do something on here. So how about let's do this top bit. So anyway, I'm trying to get it right this time with Buddy, you know. Not that I got it wrong with Rosie, but I want to invest a bit more time and effort into his early months to get him off on the right foot to how we want him to be, you know. And the biggest thing is the house training. Obviously, I don't want ruined carpets again. I don't want a smelly house, you know, because you do get nose blind after a bit, and then you worry that people walk in and they can just smell dog wee. And that's like the worst thing I can imagine, is having a house that just smells like wee. But yeah, I'm just hoping that he'll be able to tell us soon enough, you know, and we can rely on him to tell us. We don't have to keep watching him. Anyways, that's a lot of dog talk, so I'll stop now, because I imagine there's some of you watching who are not interested in the slightest, don't like dogs. I'm also going to do this last little bit on the bottom of this egg. I can always come back and do some more on these eggs with these colours, but I just want to do sort of a little bit of everything in this first video. Let's try some of the blue. What am I going to do with the blues? This gemstone, I never even noticed this had gemstones in it actually. Why don't I do a blue gemstone? So we'll start with the darkest one, which is the Delft blue from the Artex, and we'll make a little shadow. And I'm just going to pull the shadow away from the edge on this side. So we want to try and make it look 3D and glassy. So really deep and very tight to the line on this side, and then I'm pulling it away from the line on this side. I'm also going to make sure that I leave a soft edge for the next colour, because I feel like these pencils plus this paper might just need a little bit of help. So next colour is the light cerulean blue. Yeah, that's fine. This paper is fantastic. So I'm dragging that up again a little bit further. again, just leaving it a hazy edge because this light blue is quite far apart in tone from the medium blue. So it's going to need a bit of help again to blend. So we just do a really light layer that the lighter colour will find it easier to blend into. So now we've got the pastel blue. And just colouring over the line between the blues. Try and get it as smooth as possible. And I'll bring this pastel blue in that little gap. And then we can see if we want to deepen it up anywhere else with the darkest colour again. So I'm just going to go over that one more time. Sometimes when you're colouring from dark to light, you lose the depth of the dark colour because you sort of mush in lighter colours on top and it makes it fade back a little bit. So sometimes you'll just want to add that back in. Middle blue. A lot of people colour light to dark and I've just never done it that way. I think the only time I colour light to dark is when I'm doing skin. Because I'm trying to, you know, not go too dark too quick. But everything else, I always go dark to light. I find it easier somehow. And then just the lightest blue again to go back over and smooth everything out. So it does have a little sort of like illustrative line of where the white highlights are. Of course I haven't got a white Posca with me. I have, but it's a big one. This may not work. Let's see, I think I need to pump it a little bit. Let me just pump it on here. Oh, now loads of pen has come out. Okay, let's try this. So normally what I do is I try and cover up the black lines of the highlight and just leave the highlight itself. That may not work this time. I've got a colourless blender, so that's got no colour in it whatsoever, and I use that to sort of drag the Posca ink, paint, whatever, into a bit more of a shape that I want. That's if I haven't got my more precise size of Posca to hand. I can kind of use this just to trim up the edges. I might want to go back into that because I can see some little black edges, but I'll do that at a later date when I've got my thinner, finer Posca. So that's that. Why don't we do some of the little bits around the edge in blue as well. So I'll use the darkest blue in a little C shape all the way around. Just to do these little pearls or cabochons or whatever you want to call them. Very, very simply. It's not enough room to do any kind of detailed colour work on it really. So I just do these little C shapes, usually on the left hand side. Way! That's how hard I was pressing. And then I can come in with the middle colour. Sometimes on these C's you might not have enough room for the middle colour, you might have to skip straight to the light colour. But I just do my best, and of course I want to leave a little bit of white as well, just for that maximise maximisation of contrast. Like I say, in that case I might not even need to use the lighter white, the lighter blue, sorry, because there's not enough room. On these bigger ones I can use some of this pastel blue. I've just rubbed all that off my finger like an idiot. There we go. Very, very quick, simple, and they're not perfect, but it's given us a look of shine and gemstone, I think. You say you can go back in with your darker colour if you feel like your lighter ones have bleached the depth out of it a little bit. Where did I put you? Right. Okay, so what next? We haven't used this raspberry and purplish red yet, so what can we do with this one? We can add some more little details onto the eggs. So let's get the raspberry, and how about we do a little bit of this here. You can tell that I don't care about going out the lines. Purplish red. Can you see this? Sometimes my hand is in the way. Let me just twist it a little bit. There's not actually that much difference between these two colours. I may need to bring that Tuscan red in. I think you'd tell more of a difference if it was a larger area, but because these are so tiny, it's looking like pretty much the same colour. Let's get that Tuscan red. This is one of the Prismacolors that wears down the fastest. It's very crumbly, very soft. So I always need a Tuscan red. There's a few Prismas I'm short on at the minute actually, so I need to put an order in and get some more. And they're usually always the same ones. Grass green, dark green, Tuscan red, canary yellow. What else? What other colours do I need? I don't know, I can't remember. I'm just going to put some of this Tuscan right on the very darkest areas, and then I'll use the purplish red and a very light pressure to just decrease those white areas very slightly. So they don't look as big and harsh. And like I say, I've kind of gone over the lines a little bit there, but hey ho. It's hard to colour in some of these really tiny areas sometimes. So I'm going to do the same on this one. I'm actually starting with the Tuscan red this time. Just stick into one side of each line. Then we can go in with raspberry. Sometimes when I'm picking colours in like a dark, medium, light gradient, when I'm looking at the chart, it looks like there's enough differentiation between each colour. And then when I actually get colouring, I realise there isn't. Same as with this raspberry and purplish red. It's not really that easy to tell the difference. So I probably should have gone with something either a bit lighter or a bit darker. But then I did say, didn't I, that I could use the lighter one of our dusky pink blends as a light version of the purplish red. So let's give that a go. Not depleting the white completely, I'm just putting a little bit of this on. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad at all. Just bringing that Tuscan red back in one more time to deepen the dark bits. I always get told off for blowing my work as well in case I spit on it or whatever, but I'm just so used to it. I've got this massive brush that I can use, but everything's got to be quick, so blowing is quick. Now I've got to put a little bit of this onto another egg. So let's go for these little triangles. Tuscan red, raspberry, just a little bit. Purplish red luminance. And Deco Pink Prisma. Not bad, not bad at all. I'm really liking the pink, the different pinks within the egg as well. I don't really know if I want to bring any blue into that or brown into that. I'm actually quite liking those two pinks together, but maybe I will bring some brown in just for small details. We will see. But that's that for now. So I don't know how long I've been filming for. I feel like it's been a long time that I've been chattering away, but I'm going to leave this part for now. I know I've not done a lot, but I feel like it'll be good for everybody to kind of get the book, you know, if you've not got the book already, if you want to get the book, get all your pencils sorted out, get these first few bits done, and then we can come back in and get like the majority of it done in the next part. I will go away and carry on the branches, just the twigs, you know, because it's exactly the same thing what I'm going to do all the way around, but I will leave the rest of it alone and we'll do it together on the next part. I think this has just been like kind of an introduction to a colour along, I guess, finding the colours and the palette and the page and all that kind of stuff. So I am going to continue with this. I know I am really bad at starting things and then not finishing them, but I am definitely going to do this. I've marked out some time to do it, so it will be done. It might be done quicker than you think as well. So yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this first rambly video. And I really want to see how you're colouring along with me. If you want to tag me on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere else, if you do want to colour along, that'd be awesome. And I will see you very soon on the next part. So thanks for watching. See you soon on Colour with Claire.